Hey Chicago golfers, we have Masters coming up next week, which means it's the start of golf season here in Chicago. I know a lot of you have been putting in some work on your games this off season, and I want to give you some tips to help you transition your game from indoors to outdoors. Let's get started. Now, the first thing I want you to do before you play your round is go to the driving range, and I want you to practice alignment. One of the things about being indoors is that we can't practice aiming to different targets. So what I want you to do, I want you to put your ball on the ground, and then I want you to take an alignment stick, and I want you to point the stick to a specific target. And I want you to set up to the golf ball, and then I want you to take your club and put it across your thighs. We're trying to make sure that this club is parallel with your target. I see a lot of players aim their body at the target, which means that their target line or their ball would be aiming to the right. So we want to avoid that. The second thing I want you to do is when you hit balls, aim your club face over the alignment stick. When you do this, take a look towards the target, and then that's what it's like to be aiming correctly. I think some of you players, when you aim correctly, you might feel like you're aiming more left or more right, but what we're trying to do is calibrate our eyes, calibrate our alignment. The second thing I want you to do on the driving range is practice hitting balls off of a tee. It sounds counterintuitive, but what we're trying to do is put the tee in the ground, and we're trying to control the depth of our swing. I think when we're indoors, it's possible for us to have the bottom of our swing a little bit steep, and we don't quite appreciate the fat shots when we're indoors. The shot ends up being okay, but when you go outside and you put the club in the ground, it'll be a shock to the system. We have US Open winner Wyndham Clark. This is what he does. This is one of his go-to drills. One of the best players in the world. He barely tees the ball up, and then what he's doing, he's practicing just clipping the tee. And when you start to clip the tee, it starts to mean that the bottom of your swing is smooth. So then we take the tee away, and then we'll hit it off. But first few shots of the day, let's practice. Let's practice feeling a smooth bottom of your swing. Let's practice having a good turf interaction once we take the tee away. And I think if you could clip the tee, you'll avoid putting the club in the ground, you'll avoid topping it, and it's a really easy way to transition from hitting off of turf to hitting off of grass. Now that you've completed those tasks on the driving range, it's time to go to the golf course. And when we go to the golf course, we want to become target-oriented rather than thinking about your swing. And the way that we do that, especially if you've worked on your technique over the winter, we want to take what you've worked on technique-wise and turn it into a 1-second feel. For example, let's say that you were rolling the club to the inside in your takeaway. I want you to, before you hit the ball, feel what you're trying to do, and just a 1-second rehearsal. Feel what you're trying to do. And then once you have that feel, it's time to have a routine. Walk into the ball and aim. Build your stance and find balance. Get settled. Take one last look at the target, and then we'll pull the trigger. Okay. When we do this and we're out there on the course, we start to make the game more reactionary. A sign that you're thinking too much about your golf swing is if you're setting up to the ball and you're just staring at it. The tension is starting to build up. You're thinking about what to do. You haven't looked at your target. You're going to hit a bad shot. So definitely start focusing more on the target when you're out there on the golf course. The final tip that I have for you for transitioning from indoors to outdoors is to be easy on yourself. Outside is such a different environment. We have wind, different lies, different lengths of grass. There's people behind you. It's just such a different environment than this controlled environment indoors. And I find that it takes 2 to 3 rounds to really see the progress that you've made from indoors to outdoors. So just be easy on yourself, forgiving of yourself if you hit bad shots out there. We're just adapting. Your body's adapting to the different environment. But I do want you to be aware of some of the tendencies that you have out there. Be aware of your contact tendencies, like are you hitting the ground? Be aware of some of your directional tendencies, like, oh, all my shots were going left. because when we play a round of golf, we can't help but learn something about ourselves, and it helps guide our practice for that following week. So hopefully this video helps you out, and good luck to you in this golf season.